Hello, this is the video tutorial to accompany the written pattern for the MCM Throw or the Mid-Century Modern Throw. The PDF pattern as well as the Lion Brand knit kit are linked below for you. This is a knit version of the original crochet blanket of the same name, and I'll link that for you too. So grab your pattern and let's begin. So now that you've completed your gauge swatch with your chosen yarn and needle combination and you've matched gauge, it is time to cast on. So cast on the number of stitches indicated in the pattern using the long tail cast on. Double check you've got the right number as soon as you're finished, and now we're ready to continue with row 2 of the pattern because the cast on counted as row 1. So now we're working row 2, purling every stitch across the row, super easy. You've got this. This is the last row we're going to work before adding in the color. So here we are finishing the row. We've now purled all the stitches and we are ready to begin with row 3, which you can see is the first color work row in the color chart. So you're going to knit the first 2 stitches using your main color, and here's how you add in your next color. It's super easy. You just slip the loop over the needle and simply continue knitting with your accent color. For this row, we're going to work across all the stitches until the last 2. So here we are, we've knit the last color or the last stitch with our accent color. Now you need to add in your first bobbin. So do it the same way, slip it over and knit. You can see my bobbin in the background there. Yours will look neater since the pattern indicates the weight that you need for your bobbin. I believe it's 4 grams, so you'll have a nice neat little ball of yarn you can work from. Next up is row 4, which is a purl row. So we're going to purl across the entire row while doing one thing a little bit different. So to begin the row, you are going to use your main color and purl the first 2 stitches. Make sure you're grabbing your working yarn and not the tail. There's a couple of tails hanging down in this spot. So now we're ready to switch to orange. So insert your needle and cross your old color over the new color so you can see you've twisted them. And now knit with your new color. Keep on knitting across your row and purl every orange stitch. Purling the last 2 stitches here, and I'll show you how to switch to white. We're going to do the same thing. Tug on your tail if it's coming unraveled a little bit. Insert your needle into the next stitch as if to purl. Then cross it over, cross your working color over, and pick up the new color, twisting them. So you can see the orange yarn is over top of my white. Now purl with the white. Turn your work, and you might want to organize your yarn a little bit in case they're getting a little bit twisted. It's best to do this as you go instead of at the point where you can't knit anymore because it's a big tangled mess. Let me show you what the join looks like. You can see that orange bar extends over into the white area, and that's because we twisted those stitches, and that's what helps our 2 colors stay secured. Next row is a knit row. So knit those first 2 stitches in your main color, and to change colors to orange, insert your needle as if to knit, then hold your main color over top of your new color. This is how we're twisting them. So here you can see the white yarn is over top of our orange, and we're essentially twisting them together so that they are secured at that color join. And then simply knit your stitches in your new color. Once you've reached the end of your accent color and you're ready to switch back to the main color, here's what you are going to do. Insert your needle as if to knit, cross that accent color over, and underneath you're going to pick up your main color. So you can see the orange is being crossed over, and as you knit that with your main color, they get twisted together. If we take a closer look at the join here, you can see they're nice and secure. And once you just tug on your little tails there, the joins should look really nice and clean. And you'll notice all of your tails or all of your working yarn end up in the back of your work, so on the wrong side. And they will always be on the wrong side. So next row, purl row, we are going to purl those first 2 stitches. I'm just going to show you 1 or 2 more rows before we get to changing the location of our colors. Cross the white over, and the new color comes from underneath. Purl that stitch. And one more time, purl the last stitch, insert your needle as if to purl, hold your yarn over, crossing over the new color, pick up the new color. So here the twist is really prominent. You can see the orange is being crossed over the white, and purl those last 2 stitches. Once you have a few rows worked, it's a lot easier to see how clean this join looks. If you pull them apart, you can see how they are connected. And if we didn't work that twist, if you were to pull apart the bars between the white and the orange stitches, they would be completely separate from one another. It would just be a giant gap. They would not be joined whatsoever. So that's why we do that, so that we have one nice, neat piece of fabric. So on this next row, I'm going to show you how to work 3 white stitches instead of just 2. Simply, you guessed it, knit the 3rd stitch, and now this is where we're going to do our color change. We're going to do it the exact same way. So the white gets carried over, and from underneath we pull up that orange to knit that stitch. Knit across your row until you have 1 orange stitch left. Insert your needle as if to knit, cross that orange over, and from underneath pick up the white and knit that stitch. You can see the orange there is crossed over, and that's how they get twisted together. Knit your last 2 stitches, and you've just finished row 11. So now you know how to work each color as it appears, and also how to change colors just one at a time. In row 43, you'll be having to change 2 though. So here I'm pointing out 2 orange stitches that have to be knit in white. And you're going to change colors the exact same way. You will just be carrying your orange or your accent color over a couple stitches. So you'll have a slight bar in the back. So make sure you don't knit it too tightly. And you now know how to do all the color changes. I'll just show you on the opposite side of the semicircle. Grab your white from underneath and knit those 2 orange stitches, then keep on knitting to the end of the row. Here's what the back of the row looks like. It should look pretty neat, but the white little bar that appears in the back will just be slightly longer than it has been on other rows. So here's the purl side. We are going to have to purl 2 of those orange stitches using white. And then to change colors, insert as if to purl, hold the white to the left, and pick up the orange, carry it over top. It looks less like a twist, but don't worry, you're still twisting them. So work until the last 2 orange stitches, because now we have to change to white. Insert as if to purl, hold your color to the left, pick up the new color from underneath. Here it's a little more obvious, they're being twisted. And purl those 2 orange stitches and all the rest to the end of the row. So here I have just finished knitting row 44. You can cut your accent color at this point because your semicircle is complete. You can also cut your bobbin, which will be on the left side here. And for the next 10 rows, you'll be knitting with only your main color from your original ball. At this point, I am ready to join the accent color for the other half of this square for the next semicircle. So this is row 55. We are going to join our color just like we did for the first semicircle, except you're going to have to do it in the middle of your row instead of the beginning of the row, since we are making a symmetrical half circle. Now you can join your second bobbin right at this point here. Slip it over your needle, and there you go. Knit to the end of the row. I'll just show you how to do a couple of these color changes again. So at this point, we're ready to change to orange. Insert your needle as if to purl, hold your main color over, and pick up your accent color from underneath. There's the twist. Purl those stitches. And at this point, you have learned all the skills that you need to knit this entire square. So now I'll show you how to finish it off. So once you reach row 96, we've just completed row 96 here, and we're ready to knit across the row using only our original ball of main color. You can snip the accent color, you can snip your bobbin. And in row 97, you're going to knit across all stitches, and then I'll show you how to bind off. To bind off, you are going to purl your first 2 stitches. We're just doing a really simple bind off here. Hold your yarn to the back of the work, and with your left needle, slip that first stitch over the second to bind it off. Bring your yarn back in front, purl the next stitch, bring your yarn to the back, and slip the first stitch over the second to bind it off. Keep on doing this to the end of the row until all of your stitches are bound off. And here's what it will look like on the right side once you've bound off a few stitches. It should be nice and clean. So now you're ready to work your next square. You're going to have to pick up stitches along the edge of your first square. So what I like to do is put a stitch marker at the center of your square and then fold the corner up so that you can bisect this half to create 4 quarters. So you got your center marker, hold the end, fold it over so you can find the approximate center. Place another marker, so you'll need 3 markers total. And since the instructions are to pick up 60 stitches across this row, I like to put these markers here because you will know that each one of these 4 sections, here, 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 and here, all need 15 stitches worked into it. It just makes it a little bit easier to evenly distribute your stitches as you pick them up. Find the corner. Grab new working yarn, slip it over, and pick up and knit that stitch. Then keep on picking up stitches, making sure you have 15 stitches picked up in each of these 4 sections. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to seam square 9 to square 8. Here you're going to have to seam a horizontal edge to a vertical edge, but it's super easy, don't worry. The only difference in the sides here is just the way you're going to pick up the bars. So on this side, you're going to go through the loops like that. And then on this side, you're going to get this bar, catch the bars in that first row there. And because you have more rows than stitches in this square, you're going to have to go through 1 or 2 bars. So here I'm going through 2. Here, I'll show that again right now. You can see there's 2 bars there. So you're going to have to kind of play around with it, sometimes working through 1 bar, sometimes working through 2. But it makes it a lot easier if you use stitch markers to create 4 sections. This way, it's just a lot easier to do it evenly. This will be great practice because that's how you're going to seam your 3 panels together as well. So your panels are seamed together, your garter border edge is knit. Let me show you how to work the Icelandic bind off. To begin, you're going to knit your first stitch and then transfer that stitch to your left needle as shown. Then with your right needle, insert through that stitch and knit the second stitch. So here we're just finishing that knit stitch and then pull both stitches off. So now we're beginning the repeat. Transfer it to your left needle. With your right needle, insert through that first stitch and knit the second stitch. And then pull both stitches off your left needle. And that's it. Transfer it to your left needle, insert, knit the second stitch, and pull them both off. This is a really great bind off for this pattern because it's stretchy, it mimics garter stitch, you got a lot of stitches, so this is a really quick option and you don't need a tapestry needle. I'll just go back to my regular speed here so you can see what it looks like not in slow motion. Another tip is to knit a garter swatch and practice this bind off just so you can get your tension right. That would be my tip before you do it on such a large scale project. And once you finish your bind off, you are finished your blanket. Weave in all your ends and you can give your blanket another block if you want. And that is it. if you have any questions, leave a comment, send me an email, and thanks for watching.